Hello and welcome or welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all doing well and welcome to another video. And today we have a really fun one because I made a game. So I have been seeing a lot of booktubers do really fun challenges of like different things, choosing their reads for the week, and I decided to try one. And I saw this little game on Pinterest, and it's basically just like a dice game where you essentially roll the dice and land on a prompt and then choose your read for the week. And I decided to make one. And I basically designed this in Canva. It's nothing crazy. I just chose the free little designs that they have on Canva, and then I picked my prompts and put them in here. And all these prompts should be different than what I have in my TBR jar. I kind of went through different prompts and tried to find ones that I wouldn't be repeating, and then I just printed it out and taped it onto a piece of cardboard, and voila, we have the dice game. And I also have two little dice that I'll be rolling to essentially determine what I'll be reading this week. So I think this is so fun. I've been wanting to do this for a while. I've seen other booktubers make different kinds of games like Chutes and Ladders and all sorts of different games, but I thought this one would be really easy enough to do and also really fun because all you need is some dice and a printer. So this is the one we're going to be using, and the inspiration for this actually came from Pinterest. I've been looking up a few different TBR challenges on Pinterest, and this one caught my attention, so this is the one that we're doing this week, and I'm super excited because I think this is going to be so fun. So let's get started with rolling the dice and see what we're going to read this week. Okay, so here is my dice game, and I think everybody pretty much knows how this is going to work, but we have a row of dice here and a row of dice here, and I'm going to roll two dice, and whichever one kind of lands closer to either one of these rows, that's the one I'm going to put it with. So as like a practice run, if I roll a 3 and a 4, since this 3 is a little bit higher, I'm going to put it with the 3 and the 4 here on that side. So this would be a book from your least read genre. That would be like the prompt that we have to use for this roll. Okay, so let's get started with our rolls. For our first roll, we have a 5 and a 3. A book with mixed reviews, but you don't care. Okay, interesting. Okay, so for the first roll, we rolled a 5 and a 3, which is a book with mixed reviews, but you don't care. I think I know exactly which book I'm going to choose for this, and I have been seeing a lot of mixed reviews for this book, but it is by an author that I have already read her entire backlist, or almost all of her backlist, and I do really love her other books, but I don't really care about the mixed reviews, and hopefully I'm going to be on the side that actually enjoys this book because it does sound really interesting and really fun. So I decided to choose Great Big Beautiful Life by Emily Henry. I love Emily Henry books. They're not like my absolute favorite reads of all time, but she is definitely an auto-buy author for me. I love most of her books, but I have been seeing a few mixed reviews for this story right here because it's a little bit different than what she normally writes. So I'm super curious about it. I'm definitely going to be reading this book, and I think this is the perfect prompt for it. So that's going to be our first choice, Great Big Beautiful Life by Emily Henry, for a book with mixed reviews, but you don't care. Okay. Roll number 2, 5 and 5. Okay, so we have 5 and 5. A book by a new author to you. Okay, good. So for round 2, we rolled a 5 and a 5, which is a new author to me. And I actually have a few options for this that I was thinking about, but I think I'm going to go with Crash Landing by Annie McQuaid because this looks like a super summery read, and it's like the perfect weather for this, and I definitely wanted to read this summer. I have not read anything by Annie McQuaid before. I think this might actually be her debut novel because I've been looking on Goodreads and like Amazon and everything to see if she does have anything else, but I wasn't seeing anything, so I think this might be her debut novel. This one should be a second chance about these two people who crash on a deserted island, and they're basically stuck on the island together, I think. So I'm really excited about this one. I really love this cover. I love all the colors on this cover. It is so stunning. It is just absolute vibes right here. So I'm very excited for this one, and this is our second choice for this video. And roll number 3. 3 and 3. Okay. 3 and 3. I have a mood read. Yay. Okay, so love that for me. And then the final round, we rolled a 3 and a 3, which is a mood read, which I love always. and I know exactly which book I'm going to choose for this one, and that is Abby Jimenez, Say You'll Remember Me, because I love Abby Jimenez and I've been wanting to read this book for a while since it came out. I think it came out in like April or something, but I've been wanting to read this since it came out. I pre-ordered it, it arrived, and here I am. I haven't read it yet, and now is the time. I don't really know anything about it. I'm kind of going in completely blind for this one, but it looks super cute, super summery, so I'm very excited, and I really think I'm gonna love this one because I love all her books. So that's gonna be our third choice for this vlog. We're gonna go with Say You'll Remember Me by Abby Jimenez. So here are the 3 books we chose for this video. I'm gonna be reading Great Big Beautiful Life by Emily Henry for a book with mixed reviews but you don't care. I'll be reading Crash Landing by Annie McQuaid for a new author to me. And I will be reading Say You'll Remember Me by Abby Jimenez for the mood read choice. So these are the 3 books that the Dice Game has chosen for this video. I think I'm gonna get started with Great Big Beautiful Life by Emily Henry, and I will check in with you guys when I have my first update. Okay, let's do a check-in. So the first one I picked up was Great Big Beautiful Life, if you haven't seen from the last clip, and I read to chapter 11, page 103. So not too far in. This book follows Alice Scott, who's a journalist for The Scratch, and Hayden Anderson, who's a Pulitzer Prize-winning biographer. And the 2 of them are basically competing to write the autobiography or the biography of this famous woman named Margaret Ives. And Margaret is known as the tabloid princess. She was the heiress to the Ives empire. It was like a media empire, and she's been in the tabloids for like a very, very long time. When she was younger, she married like this rock star, and there were scandals, and apparently there was some involvement with a cult, and she was just basically in the tabloids like all the time. And she finally wants to tell her story. So she needs somebody to write this book for her. So Alice actually ends up tracking her down. And then when Margaret finally agrees to meet with her, she arrives at her house. Margaret tells her that there's actually another person that she's also interviewing for the chance to write this book. And in order for Margaret to like choose the right person, you know, the person that's going to have the right voice to write this book, she wants to spend a month with both of them, just kind of like getting to know them and them getting to know her. And then at the end of the month, she's going to make the decision. Hayden as a character is like a very grumpy kind of guy. He's like a very no nonsense type of person. He seems kind of like irritable all the time, whereas Alice is very sunshine and like up for anything, like open to everything. So they're opposites that way. It's obviously grumpy sunshine. And so they run into each other twice so far. They literally had like one conversation about their families, and at the end of that conversation, they're like making out. So that was interesting. I don't think that usually happens in Emily Henry books, so this is a little bit new, a little bit different, but we'll see what happens. Like, we'll see how this progresses. Maybe their relationship will develop in a different way. Maybe like she's got a plan here, but I just thought that was maybe a little bit sudden, but hopefully Emily Henry will bring it all back somehow and, you know, make it work. For now, I'm going to trust her and hope that she will just bring it all full circle somehow. But that's where we are right now. That's what's going on, and that's the basic setup of this book. So we'll see what happens. I like Margaret so far. I think she's going to have an interesting story. Obviously, it hasn't really gotten into the details of that yet, but I think she's going to have a pretty interesting story. So I think maybe like that part of the book will be more interesting to me. But so far, I'm not super impressed by either Alice or Hayden. They're just kind of like typical grumpy sunshine characters, and there's a little bit of like insta lust, not very much development so far. But hopefully that part of the story does turn around though. So I'm gonna keep reading and check in with you guys later. Hello. So I have an update on this book finally. It's been a few days. I've been reading this for a few days now. I'll be honest with you, I'm not having the best time with this book. I think I made it to chapter 28, which is page 316. So I have just a little bit left, and I feel like I do have a little bit of time to read tonight. So hopefully I'll be able to finish this tonight, because I'm just gonna like power through and finish this book. But I'm honestly not having the best time. It's a little bit boring. I'm not really caring about the storytelling or anything that's been happening. Margaret's just kind of like talking about her past, and I don't really care about any of it. I'm hoping that it does pick up a little bit right now, because she is starting to get into her story with Cosmo Sinclair, who's the rock star guy. So hopefully that will like be a little bit more interesting, and that'll make the story go further a little bit. But like in the last 200 pages, like I kid you not, there was no plot. Like nothing happens, like literally nothing happens. So I've just been reading it slowly. I actually honestly, I fell asleep twice while reading this book, so that should really tell you something. And it's just not keeping my attention. I'm just not into it. Like I don't care. So that's what's been going on. The only timeline I really care about is like the present timeline and like what's going on with Hayden and Alice, because like I just want to see more from them. But they honestly somehow like by this point they're already in love, but I don't really know how it happened, and I feel like I missed the relationship. Like something happened and I feel like I missed it, because like they're already in love and I don't know when that happened. Hopefully that gets explained a little further or whatever, but like it feels like that progressed really quite quickly, and there really wasn't a reason for it. You know what I mean? So I don't really know. I'm not having the best time. If I were to have to rate it right now, I would say it's probably reading like a 3-star, maybe like a 2.75 if I had to be picky about it, but it's probably closer to like a 3-star. But I will still give it a chance, because she is about to get into the whole story with Cosmo Sinclair. So I'm hoping that that's better and that redeems this book a little bit, but right now I'm not having the best time. I definitely don't hate it. I like it okay, but it's not really giving anything and it's kind of boring. So I'm losing interest and I just want to be done with this book. So I'm going to try to power through. I'm going to see if I can finish it tonight and give you guys an update either tonight or tomorrow morning. Good morning. So I finally finished this book. This was slow going, but I finally finished this last night, and the last 30-40 pages, they kind of made the book, because a lot more has happened in the last 30-40 pages. There were some twists, some reveals that like I was actually interested in reading. However, that middle 200 pages, I just didn't care about, and it kind of ruined the book. Like this book would have been so good if it was just like the first fourth of the book and like the last fourth of the book, or like the last 50 pages or something like that. Then I would have really enjoyed this book. But I feel like the middle 200 pages or so of this book, where like nothing happens, it just takes away from like the enjoyment that you have reading this book. So I didn't really love that, but I did really enjoy the beginning and the end. Like especially at the end, a lot of stuff happens, like with Cosmo and like with her sister. A lot of stuff gets revealed and a lot of things get explained, and stuff that I was like really curious to know. So that was really good. That was really well done. And I just, like that part of the story I was really interested in, but I just unfortunately wasn't really interested in anything that happened in the middle of this book. Like 200 pages of this book, I was just like, I really don't care. So that was that. Let's chat about the relationship between Alice and Hayden. And that's also not my favorite, because like I mentioned before, it came out of nowhere. I feel like I missed a whole chunk of like them falling in love and like before they fell in love and stuff like that. Like I feel like I missed that whole thing, and then suddenly they are in love, and it just like, it didn't fit with the story, because everything else was like overly developed. Like the stories that Margaret was talking about and like sharing throughout the entire book were just like overly detailed and overly developed, but then like the part of the relationship was just like bam, there, in love. We meet once, we have one heart to heart, we start making out, then suddenly we're in love. Like it just felt like it didn't really fit the rest of the book, like the rest of the style of the writing and the rest of the book. When I spoke with you last, I was thinking this was going to be like a 2.75, maybe like a 3-star or something, but I feel like the ending did bring it up a little bit for me. So I think I'm going to settle on a 3.5 for this one. I wish the middle wasn't so long, and I wish it wasn't so dragged out and more was happening there, and I wish that the romance was better developed. And I think she's trying not to have this be like a romance book, like a focus on romance. It's supposed to focus obviously on Margaret, but I'm just saying, like, if you're gonna put romance in it, like, you could make it short, but like make me believe it at least. And for me, it just wasn't super believable. So I'm gonna give it a 3.5. It was okay. Probably my least favorite Emily Henry book, but I will still obviously keep reading her books because it's Emily Henry, and you know, maybe she's just trying something new. Maybe she's just like experimenting, which a lot of writers do, but I still had an okay time, I would say. I would say it's kind of like a middle of the road book. If you're a huge fan of Emily Henry, I would say, yeah, go ahead and read it. Like, you know, you're probably going to have an okay time. But if you're picking up an Emily Henry book for the very first time, maybe don't start with this one. So that's Great Big Beautiful Life, 3.5 stars. And I think we're gonna move on to the next book. And the dice game chose an author that is new to me. So for this one, I chose Crash Landing by Annie McQuaid. And I think this is her debut novel. It's supposed to be a second chance romance about this couple, and they get stranded on a deserted island after a plane crash. It's on the cover. This cover is like absolutely stunning vibes, like the perfect summer cover. I'm obsessed with this, honestly. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started with this and then check in with you guys when I have my first update. So quick update on this book. So I got to page 115, which is chapter 16, so maybe like close to halfway of the book. This one is dual timeline, so it follows this group of friends, Piper, Ethan, Allie, and Wyatt, and Piper is the main character in this. So they were a group of friends in high school. They kind of started like this lonely only society, which meant that they were just like only children, and they were in the group of friends, and then Piper and Wyatt were actually dating. They fell in love back in the day and ended up breaking up. We don't know what the reason is yet, but they ended up breaking up, and Wyatt ended up leaving the group of friends. Okay, so she hasn't been in contact with him for a while, but now the other friend in the group, Allie, is getting married, and she's having a destination wedding in the Bahamas, and so now Piper is traveling to that destination wedding. However, when she gets to the airport, her flight gets delayed, and essentially she's just not going to be able to make it to the wedding on time. But lo and behold, Wyatt is on the way to the same wedding, and they run into each other at the airport, and he says that he's been trying to figure out a flight. So he actually has a friend who has a plane, and he lets him fly it down there and like lets him borrow his plane. So he offers to take her as well, and she agrees, obviously, because she doesn't want to miss her best friend's wedding. So as they're flying down to the Bahamas, they hit a storm, and then he crashes the plane. So now they're stranded on this deserted island. There's nobody there. They're not seriously injured. I don't think he's injured at all, but she's got like something on her head. She's got like a cut on her head, so she's not very seriously injured at all, which honestly kind of seemed a little bit unrealistic to me, because if you crash a plane and nobody really gets seriously injured, it just seems a little bit unrealistic. But nonetheless, the setting is so fun. I love an adventure romance, and the setting for this one is so cute, so atmospheric, so fun, so summery. So far, it's total summer vibes. I think this book is going to hinge on like the reason why they broke up. Maybe it was just like a right person, wrong time kind of thing, or they were too young or something like that, which would be fine. But, you know, second chances are hit or miss for me. It always depends on like the reason why they broke up, and like, you know, who did what, and like what didn't work out. So we'll see when I get to that part. But so far I'm liking it. The writing is pretty good. I like the dual timelines. I think I prefer the now timeline better than the then timeline, because the then timeline is a little bit more kind of like YA, like high school crushes, like going to prom, like that kind of thing. Whereas the now timeline timeline is a lot more like adult and like serious and like more my speed, but it's pretty well balanced for the most part. So I'm having a great time. I'm really wondering how they're gonna get out of this and when they will get rescued and what's gonna happen until then. But yeah, so far, having a great time, really liking it, very interested in the book, and I'm loving the writing. So I'm just gonna continue reading and I'll update you when I'm further into the book. So I finished this book and I have some thoughts. For the most part, this was pretty good. I did have a good time reading this. I enjoyed myself. I liked the story. It was pretty atmospheric with the island vibes and the entire romance of being trapped on a deserted island together. All of that was really, really good, and I really, really enjoyed Piper as a main character. However, there were a couple of things that I did not really enjoy about this book, and one of them was Wyatt himself. And I think I mentioned in previous videos or even in the last clip that the reason for the breakup, because this is a second chance, the reason for the breakup will make or break a book for me, and I didn't love the reason for their breakup. So in the past, Wyatt broke up with her because he thought that was what was best for her. Like, it was a situation where she had to either give up something or give him up. You know, it was one of those situations, or at least in his mind, that's what he felt like the situation was, but he didn't like talk to her. He didn't consult with her. He didn't like actually include her in the decision that he made to just like end the relationship, which affected her life. And I just absolutely hate that. Like when somebody makes a unilateral decision for somebody else. I know that a lot of people in those situations would think like, oh, he's making a sacrifice. He's being selfless, you know, it is better in the long run, things like that. Like, I understand that he thought he was making a sacrifice. He didn't want her to lose out on stuff, but let her make that decision for herself, you know? And then there was another third act conflict in this, which I thought was completely unnecessary. So Wyatt in general, not my favorite character. He didn't have very many hero moments. And when he did have any hero moments, they were just kind of like, bleh. So Wyatt, kind of a wet blanket, didn't really love him. But overall, contrary to what you might be thinking right now based on what I'm saying, I actually really enjoyed this book. Wyatt was really the only like part of this book that I didn't really like as much. And for the most part, he was all right. Like, he made mistakes. A lot of the stuff he did or didn't do, you could say it's understandable, but it's just not like personally my favorite thing in characters and the way that characters are written. But Piper, on the other hand, she was awesome. She was awesome throughout the entire book. I really, really loved her character. She was funny. She was smart. She was brave. She did all these things, and she's super caring, super relatable. I thought she was a really great main character, so I really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed the setting. This was such a great idea for a book with like the plane crash and being stuck on the island and, you know, being there with your ex and like that kind of thing. The scenes were set really nicely and the writing just like flowed. It was fast paced. A lot of things happened and it was easy to read and I had a really good time with it. There's also an incident at the end that actually brought me to tears. So it did have me feeling all these emotions, like feeling sad, but I was also happy and nervous for them at times and kind of like wondering how they're going to figure things out with the whole getting rescued part and the challenges that they were facing on the island, but also with their relationship, you know. This book had a lot of good things going for it. So overall, I had a really good time with this book. I actually really enjoyed it, but for Wyatt and like his character. But again, that's kind of like a personal preference kind of thing, because some people out there would say that Wyatt is actually being really sweet and considerate and self-sacrificing. But yeah, overall, had a pretty good time, enjoyed myself. I would definitely recommend this book for like an easy, fun time. And if those things that I mentioned about Wyatt before don't bother you, I will probably be reading more of Annie McQuaid if she does end up coming out with more books. I'm also keeping in mind that this was this author's debut novel. I have not seen any other books by her on Goodreads or anywhere else, so I'm assuming this is her debut novel. And with that being said, like, it's actually really, really good for a debut. So overall, I had a pretty good time. I would definitely recommend it for like a fun, fast summer read. And I ended up giving this one 4 stars. So that's Crash Landing by Annie McQuaid. And that's the second book for this vlog done. And then the next one that I chose via the dice game that I'm going to be picking up next is Say You'll Remember Me by Abby Jimenez. This was the mood read choice. And I am so excited for this one. You guys know how much I love Abby Jimenez. Her last book, 6-star read. I literally rated it 6 stars on Goodreads. That was like my only 6-star read. I'm hoping for the same with this one. So I'm going to get started with this one and check in with you guys later. So, where am I at with this book? I'm on page 105, I think. Yeah, I read about 100 pages. I'm on chapter 15, and so far this book is amazing. I'm really, really loving it. I just knew it. I knew going into an Abby Jimenez book that I would have the most amazing time and also the most emotional time, and I'm having both already. So this is a really, really good sign. So this book follows Samantha and Xavier, and Samantha is a social media manager for like a mustard brand, and everything about her whole entire career is hilarious. But she comes up with like social media posts and slogans and stuff like that for mustard. And Xavier is a veterinarian. And it starts off a little weird because so she finds a little kitten and she brings it to Xavier to examine. And they find out that the poor little baby kitten was born with a congenital condition that means that it doesn't have a little butthole. So he tells her that there's a surgery she could do, but it's thousands and thousands of dollars. And he actually recommends that she euthanize it. But she's not about that. She gets very angry, and then she decides to fundraise the money and kind of like show him, but also because she like loves the little baby kitten. So that's sweet. I really love her for that. In his defense though, his recommendation probably not the worst thing given the situation. He just didn't want the kitten to suffer, and she didn't have the money. Obviously she told him that, and so like you don't want to wait too long and make the poor little baby suffer. But given that she comes up with catchy slogans, she creates a GoFundMe and raises the money. She names the kitten Pooter. It's so sweet, and it gets the surgery and everything is fine. Then I think we skip a month into the future, and she's going to California to see her mom because her mom actually has dementia, and she needs the cat to be like cleared for flight. So she goes back to Xavier to kind of like rub it in his face that she got the money, she got its surgery, and the kitten is doing well. So she does that, and then he's like super impressed by that, obviously, and he asks her out. And so they go on this date, and it's like this amazing date. They have like the best time, the most unreal connection, and it's like just like this out of this world date. And honestly, it is like from the description and what they're feeling and like, what's happening on that date. Like I would be right there with them. I would be like, yes, this is the most amazing date I've ever been on. Imagine the best date of your life, but like 1,000 times better because like the connection between the two of them is just like out of this world. Okay. So far, I am absolutely loving both of these characters. We've got a lot from Xavier now. We've got a lot of his like history, and his character is really well explained and like really well developed, and he's got like these friends that absolutely love him, and he's got like all these people in the community kind of like look up to him because he's like this veterinarian and he helps with all their pets, and it's just the sweetest thing ever how like everybody in the community loves him and their pets love him and like his friends love him and just like all these things. He's a walking green flag right now on this date. I really think he might be my absolute favorite main character in a book so far. I really, really love him. We don't have that much of Samantha quite yet. We get a little bit of her family, like the fact that her mom has dementia and that she's going to see her. So I'm expecting to see a lot more. Obviously, we're not too far in. We're only like a third of the way in or a quarter of the way in. So I'm sure she's going to get developed a lot further. But so far, I really, really like her too. And I'm just obsessed with the connection between them. Like, how does Abby Jimenez write such good feelings and emotion and like connection between two main characters? Like, you just completely feel it. You get completely lost in the relationship and the story and everything that's going on. And this is why she's my favorite author, honestly, because of like the emotion she puts behind her writing and how you just feel the exact same things that these characters are feeling. You're reading words on paper, but you're also feeling the emotions. So she's phenomenal, in my opinion. I would absolutely love to meet her one day. So I'm just going to keep reading and keep you guys updated. Okay, really quick, I just started reading chapter 16 and I just wanted to read you this page. It's page 111 in the book, and it just describes their date and like the feelings behind it to give you guys like an idea of like what I mean when she's talking about this like being literally the best date of her life. Okay, so this is chapter 16, Samantha. We were sitting on the beach on 2 Barbie towels we bought at a souvenir shop. We had our shoes off. The sun set an hour ago. We'd done all the things. Took scooters to Venice Beach, got ice cream on the 3rd Street promenade, did the pier, shared some calamari at a seafood place, and then walked along the surf. I liked talking to Xavier. I liked hanging out with him. I liked the contemplative gazes, the little upturned corner of his mouth when I said something funny. I liked how reflective he was, how he didn't speak until he had something thoughtful to say. He was observant. But mostly, I liked that he felt turned toward me, like I was the only interesting thing in this place, full of interesting landmarks and people and things. He never once pulled out his phone for anything other than taking pictures. I told him I loved seashells, and he spent our walk along the water looking for ocean jewels to hand me like it was his new job. I preferred his ice cream more than mine, and he switched with me. He wouldn't take no for an answer. When it got windy on the beach, he wrapped me in his towel. That is seriously so sweet. I love that so much. I think I want to tab this. I tabbed this page and I drew little hearts around the scene because I think this is like the sweetest scene ever and like the most descriptive of like how they feel on their date. Just one more. Maybe it was just him or the trauma bond formed in the belly of the UFO, but I was convinced that nothing and nobody would ever make me feel as comforted and protected as being near him. Everything about him calmed me. His tone of voice, his smell, the warmth of his body, he had imprinted on me. Years worth of conditioning, set in stone over one night in an escape room. I love them. Okay, it's been like an hour. I'm on chapter 24, page 195 right now. And guys, I love this book so much, but there is so much like logistical stuff that they need to figure out. Like I'm really worried that like they can't figure out their logistical stuff. Yeah, I'm just like afraid of what's gonna happen. I love them together. Their relationship is just so good. And the contemplative gazes, oh, I love the contemplative gazes. But yeah, all this logistical stuff they can't figure out right now, it really has me worried as to what's gonna happen because everything is just like too good right now, like not with like their situations in life, but with their relationship and like how they're so meant to be and how like they like each other so much, and it's just so good. I'm like really worried that something is gonna disrupt this like amazing connection that they have, and their feelings for each other are just so good. Oh, so I'm kind of scared. I'm more than halfway through the book, I think. So I'll definitely be able to finish this today. Unless something goes crazy wrong towards the end, I really think this is gonna be a 5-star, you guys. I tabbed 2 little moments. I showed that earlier and read that one scene to you guys with the date. And yeah, I mean, that's just like the best description, honestly. Okay, so I'm gonna keep reading, keep you guys updated, and hopefully finish this today. Hello again and welcome to my kitchen. The lighting here is actually not terrible because I have a window over there, and this time of day the lighting's pretty good, so I might vlog here more often. But I just wanted to give you guys an update because I finished this book, and this might be my favorite book of the year. It's still early in the year, but Her last book was my favorite book of the year, and I really wouldn't be surprised if this one was as well. I absolutely loved it. I'm rating this 6 stars. This book literally had every emotion you could think of. Like, I was sad, I was angry, I was happy, I was laughing. It was literally every emotion, and I just loved their connection and their romance. I keep saying that throughout all of my updates, but that's literally the thing that makes this book so amazing, is like their connection. And they faced real life problems like financial issues and location issues and logistical stuff and business stuff and family stuff, and it was just so realistic in that sense of like, how do you overcome all of these obstacles and still kind of like make a relationship work if it's like the right person, wrong time kind of situation. So this is what this book was. It was kind of like a right person, wrong time, but they did figure it out, and it wasn't without sacrifice, unfortunately, but sometimes that's just the way life works. And I thought this was super realistic. I absolutely loved them. Even their romance, like, even though I say it's like the perfect like love connection and everything like that, it felt actually kind of realistic to me. There's also the most hilarious scene. So something happens and it goes on TikTok, and there's a TikTok video that goes viral, and people are putting all these thirst comments below it, and it's just like the most hilarious thing. That was like another one of my favorite scenes. I did tab 3 scenes that I really, really loved, and 2 of them I showed you guys earlier, but then the last one, I did put a little snippet of this that I underlined while I was reading this outside, and yeah, these are just like 3 of my absolute favorite moments in this book. This is going down as one of my favorite books of all time, I would say. So I had an amazing time. I love Abby Jimenez. She is still the queen. I love her writing. Her writing is so, so perfect. And she just keeps getting better and better and better with time. Like, all her books progressively get better. Honestly, I'm amazed. But yeah, so that concludes this reading vlog, you guys. I had a really great time with the dice game, choosing my reads for this week. We read Great Big Beautiful Life by Emily Henry, and this one was okay. It wasn't my favorite Emily Henry. I definitely prefer her other books more than this one. But I still had a pretty good time. I really liked the beginning. It really hooked me. And then I really liked the ending and how everything came together. And I ended up rating this one 3.5 stars. Then the next I chose Crash Landing by Annie McQuaid, and I had a pretty good time with this one. I didn't love Wyatt, but I really liked Piper, and I loved the setting of this book. I loved that they were stranded on a deserted island. It was a really good atmospheric read. So I ended up rating this one 4 stars and definitely had a good time with it. And then the final book that we read in this video was Say You'll Remember Me by Abby Jimenez, and I just told you all my feelings about this one. I absolutely loved it. This one is 6 stars. Obviously it's 5 stars on Goodreads, but I'm putting a little note in there and saying that it is 6 stars. So that concludes this video. I hope you enjoyed. Please let me know down in the comments if you've read these and what your thoughts were. I would really love to know, and that way we can talk about books. As always, all my links are down below to my Instagram, Goodreads, and TikTok. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.